Yes, welcome to the No Stay Project here on well, almost made a mistake right out of the gate, but welcome to the No Stay Project live here, streaming on my YouTube channel, No Stay Project, live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. It is episode 97 of the commercial-free broadcast there, and glad to be here with you. If you want to join the big show, it's in the show notes. But I'll give this out again. It's 218-632-9399. 218-632-9399. The passcode is 2020 with the pound sign. You can also get me a Frank Rizzo free. And as I put in the description, make sure you instant message me first. You don't just call. It's a little more difficult for me to do direct Skype calls during the broadcast, so it is easier if you use your Skype just to call the call-in number. I don't have my email available here, so don't email me questions during the show. And if you're in the queue, it's not going to help you to send me all cap emails saying, "Dude, pick up. What are you afraid of?" I'm not getting the email. I want to thank the supporters of the show, the few people that do support the show. It is much appreciated, and wishing Chris a speedy recovery. I do appreciate the continued support of the show. If you'd like to be able to do that, you can do that at markstevens.net. That is appreciated. Just a word, I have to, number of things going on. I will not be pulling down this live video stream anymore. I will not be doing putting the video together and editing it with graphics. That's no longer going to be done. So don't worry about if you are leaving comments. Don't worry that they're going to be deleted and start accusing me of censoring you. I will not be doing that. So the live broadcast is the one that is going up. I'll still be putting up a just audio only of the Saturday LRN stream, but that's more so that I'm getting rid of all the commercial breaks. So we trim that down to, instead of a 3-hour broadcast, it gets trimmed down to just about 2 hours. So yeah, I do want to bring out, somebody had a comment here regarding the role playing, and so I posted the I think it was yesterday. I posted a video of Lee in New York getting a traffic ticket kicked out, and so this has come up before, and you know, we have few new people listening every week. Oh, and I just want to give a, usually I don't get any shares of the videos, maybe 2 or 3 on the videos that I do post on Facebook, but actually got 13. So, wow. Appreciate that's 4 times as many shares, which I appreciate. Please, if you enjoy the material, try to share it, because that's the only way the material is getting out there. Is if it's peer-to-peer, not something that's going to appear on a big channel and take off that way. So one of the questions that came up on the comments had to do with role-playing and getting dismissals. So what is, how many people who have actually done the role-playing have gone on and gotten an acquittal or got a dismissal, let's say a dismissal by mail where they didn't have to go into court? Bottom line is, I don't know. I don't know. I know the big standout, or the standouts would be Armando in Texas, and also Ginger, who used to be in Texas. And Ginger's, they've both been on the show. Ginger is, of course, the more recent one, and but so I don't know. I can't say for sure. What I do know, yeah, Jen, I could stream the intro, but when it comes to the role playing, and the role playing isn't nearly as bad as having people confront bureaucrats as far as, you know, going to city council meetings. In all the years that this has been done, and I have my own reasons, just logistical reasons why I'm not able to do that. That's why I'm stuck usually, you know, here doing it from, you know, on the phone. But only 2 people have ever contacted me and have gone in front of the city councils or a you know, county commissioners and have publicly confronted bureaucrats on it. That is, you know, that is just it's just one of those things. Nobody, just 2 people out of, even if you look at, you know, we only get 1,000 views of the show a week, 2 out of 1,000, not very good. The role playing is bad as far as participation, but it's not that bad. It's not 2 out of 1,000. Most people, I would say, out of 10 people that contact me that I'm working with and they get consultation or they get the motion to dismiss or a script, 9 times out of 10, they don't do the role playing. The role playing is valuable. Sure, most people just don't take advantage of it. They don't use it. There are various reasons why some people won't go there anymore. Hell, I wouldn't even go in there for a while. And it's work. You know, it takes some work. I can say every single day, and I put right in the instructions, you are not to read the script line by line in court. It's not what it's designed to do. It's a learning tool. It gives, you know, yes, there are things in there you don't want to forget. And, you know, absolutely, you don't want to do that. So that's why we have that. So if you do get flustered, you have your place. But we do the role playing, and you learn through the script that there's a certain process there. There's a certain model or tactic that we're using. And, you know, in a general sense, we're going to be going from having to make vague generalizations, and we're going to be asking leading questions, getting to more specific answers. And the more specific you get a bureaucrat, the less strength, or their arguments have. See, they live in the realm of the generalization. The vague is where they had the most strength. Well, the laws apply to everybody, and you know that, of course, falls apart when you start to examine it. So it's really unfortunate. I've said, you know, I'm sure I've said it before. The overwhelming majority of people that I work with, or even call the show, do not engage in any kind of online role playing like we do on Skype or even on the show or on, you know, on the Discord. Now, we went to the Discord to try to make it, you know, so it's more productive. And I think the last few times that I've done it, at least it was productive in as far as we're teaching the basics and people are getting a better idea of what it takes to go in and effectively defend yourself. So as far as the dismissals, the overwhelming number of the dismissals that we have gotten have been for people who have not done the role playing. But that does not minimize the importance of the role playing. The role playing is still, you know, is only going to help you. There are some people, again, they're not very good at public speaking, being put on the spot and being able to respond to the stupid things that judges and prosecutors and police officers say. And so it really helps to do that. That's why I compare it to boxing. You can talk about boxing. Yeah, that's, you know, that's good. But until you actually put on some gloves or you tape up and you start actually going through and sparring, or you're going through and using a bag, or someone's got focus mitts, you're just not going to be very good. So again, you know, I have to be the first one to admit, not very good at inspiring people or getting people to follow through and do the role playing and actually prepare better for court. So, yeah, what do you do? You know, it's a frustrating thing, but again, it is each individual's choice on how they're going to do it. And maybe sometimes people just don't have the time. I know for myself, I'm very limited on time. So, But it is an important thing we need to spend at least some time doing. If you're going to make the commitment to defend yourself in court, you should do your best to commit to spend at least a couple of hours a week over the course of a few weeks, so that you can prepare to do better when you're in court. Because I'm just repeating myself. It only goes to help you better defend yourself. So, I mean, I could shout that from the rooftops. 9 out of 10 people aren't going to do it. It's just like, let's say only 3 out of 1,000 or 13 out of 1,000 are going to share the video. But that's not nearly as bad a situation. I mean, it's worse when you're in a court situation, you're not taking the time to defend yourself. You're going against professional litigators. These are people who are very good at distraction. They are very good at getting people off point. So, you got to prepare. You got to prepare. That's what it comes, So I'm sorry that I don't have all these facts and figures. I don't have the time, nor do I have the inclination to go and give a detailed report on how people are doing. The tactic that I discuss and that I have used and it has been replicated by people in the United States, all over the United States, state and federal, all over Canada. It's been replicated in England. Ireland has been replicated in Australia and New Zealand. So, the whole thing about the show is the evidence speaks for itself. I am really getting to a point where on certain points, I have to just direct you to the website. Now, that's not a cop-out, but the evidence is actually there. I'm happy to still discuss points of dissension on the show, but as far as the efficiency of how effective it has been, I have the evidence on the website. How effective is it? I challenged in front of, I've said this before, but I have challenged the Chief Justice of the Arizona Supreme Court at the ASU Law School for proof that the laws of Arizona, the government, actually apply to me because I'm physically in Arizona. Now, he agreed. If I'm physically in Arizona, the argument is if I'm physically in Arizona, then the Constitution laws apply. Okay? But when I followed up with a question on actual evidence to prove that's true, the Supreme Court Chief Justice said the people that they have already prosecuted and put in prison are somehow evidence proving that they apply to me and support his argument. And also when you have critics saying that doesn't have to be proven. When you're asking for proof of a claim, and it's not a theoretical claim, it is actually the practical application of the laws, and they're making a practical application. They're making a legal determination or legal claim, an allegation, if you will. And when you ask for the evidence to prove that allegation, that claim is true, and they say, how about phone call? We don't have to prove that. Boom! There's the effectiveness of just asking the question because they can't prove it. And they'll come out and well, they don't have to prove that. Yeah, yes, they do. Honest people engaged in fair play and due process have to back up their claims. It's right there in the ethical rules for lawyers. Due process requires that the claim is not arbitrary and that it's reasonable and rational and reasonable. Well, making an assumption or saying, I don't have to prove that, it's not reasonable and it's not rational. That the only people who think it is are those who profit from the system or don't understand basic principles of logic and don't have the mental capacity to understand such simple reason. So the evidence is there. But here, I didn't compile that. So it's just not something I've done. It's not something I'm going to do. If some people want to, turn around and say, how about phone call? I don't want to do. I walk away. Walk away. No one is forcing. I'm not on here telling you, you have to do this. All I'm doing is laying out what has been effective has been replicated hundreds and hundreds of times across political lines. If you can't see the merit there, fine. Pay the fine or do it your own way. That's really not a complaint that I'm going to address. To try to put down the efficiency or the effectiveness of the Socratic method after 2,000 years of it being proven. See, I guess what it comes down to is people have an issue with questioning the sacred cow. And we know that sacred cow is the applicability of the law. But they want to assume that. Oh, let's question the prosecution's claims, but not that one. And we're going to say that given the prosecution a claim, a clean, a free pass, we're going to say that that's an effective way to do things. And the way the Mark is doing it, he's an idiot. Yes, because challenging the assertion made against you makes you an idiot. If challenging somebody's claim against you makes you an idiot, then I guess in that tortured use of the word, then yeah, I guess I would have to cop to that. If demanding proof of a claim makes you an idiot, then yeah, not on me. That's going to be me. I don't think so. I think in the real world, asking for proof is just being reasonable. It's being rational. I think it's not asking for proof, not having that, taking something, especially when it affects your life, and taking it on faith. That I think is irrational. That I'm just that's not. I'm not gonna. I didn't. I don't subscribe to that. That doesn't make sense to me. From a young age, I think I had a pretty good BS meter. And somebody trying to say, just take my word for it. I can't do that. Can't do it. It's like I said, if a politician says it's raining outside, yeah, I'm going to have to look for myself. Verify, verify, verify. Be a skeptic. So, because some people in the legal profession or bureaucrats would have you think that being a skeptic and wanting proof and a rational basis for a claim before you accept it, of course, when your whole position is based on a mountain of lies, that's turtles all the way down. Yeah, that's why they do that. All right, well, let's get to the phones. Let's see. It's funny to watch lawyers go off their rockers when confronted with the democratic method. This makes them irrelevant when there's no evidence to support jurisdiction. Hence, they're out of a job. It comes down. They don't want that challenged. I mean, so real quick. So be a little more patient there, Shelby. I appreciate that. Why is it? And I've got proof. See, that's one of the things that gets me too. Really disappointing. I have a mountain of proof of confronting bureaucrats as high as a chief justice of the Supreme Court. And we do these call of shames where, unlike people posting on YouTube, we're talking about the actual agents making the claims against me or other people, the actual accuser. And in not one instance have they been able to prove that their claim is true. So again, you could take court out of it. We're not even talking about making the claim in court. We're just talking about proving it outside of court. Can you prove it? They don't even try to claim that they can. That's why you get this, that you're arguing philosophy by asking for proof. No. When you say a literal piece of paper from 1910 applies to me and creates obligations, you are not making a philosophical argument. You are not making a philosophical claim. You are making a claim against me. That requires proof. To turn around and say, well, my special document here, because of this, means I don't have to prove that. No, that you're talking about a criminal. And so despite all these call of shames, they are the lowest viewed videos that I put out. It's a reason why I'm so hesitant to actually go through the time and post it. Why go ahead and post a audio of a politician making a claim, agreeing that's his claim, and even admitting that they can't prove it's true? What is the point of posting that when you get like 200 views? It's not worth the time. And so that's why I don't put that many out. You have to kind of gauge, well, is it worth the time and the effort to go through all that editing, to go and upload it and do an article and do this and spend an hour and a half to 2 hours when 400 people over the course of 6 months watch it? So that's probably why I'm not going to be doing too many more Call of Shames. I'll still have them, but I'm not going to go through the trouble of editing, and because nobody wants to see them. I don't mean nobody in the pejorative sense, but 400 views when you with 15,000 subs, you got to spend your time doing something a little bit more productive. And the Call of Shames, I know some people are, love them. I love them. I'm not too motivated to spend the time doing that. So anyway, let's get to the callers. I will say this last thing: some of these bureaucrats really, honestly, are true believers. They believe they're doing the right thing, and because of that, because there's so much is invested in that, they will not do the right thing. They it's really sad to watch. They're too wrapped up in that to do the right thing. They know what they're doing is wrong, and some have even admitted that they should drop it, but they don't. It's like a religious true believer. They may know that what they're doing is absolutely wrong, but they just can't change. That's one of the dangers of such dogmatic beliefs. That's why religion is especially now, is so universally condemned for the idea of faith, and that you have to hold a view contrary to your own conscience, your own principles of right and wrong. I mean, does anybody really believe? I don't want to get it. We don't talk about that on the show. All right. So he's been very patient. Welcome back to the show, Shelby in Ohio. What do you have for us today?
Mark, it's your favorite critic.
Oh, my favorite critic? I don't know. This is not ICBM Catcher, is it?
Hey, talking about role play, I did request that you do a case study about, I don't know. I know it was at least 6 months ago.
Okay.
And my intentions were for you to see for yourself the results, whatever they may be.
Okay.
And then maybe you could make a better distinction in, like between your success stories on the website and role play success stories. And I know, like, for your audience, I've observed the role playing for 2 years, and like I said, I asked if you would consider, just, and maybe not even you personally, but somebody that's role playing. So, but anyways, I'm glad that you brought it up. You mentioned it. People kind of know. I mean, because here's what I've observed, and this is what my observations are. And then, Mark, you tell me if you agree, disagree.
Okay.
But somebody gets, and I'm talking about traffic violations because that's mostly what I see. Okay, yes. And like role play, that's most of the people. Once in a while, you get somebody, maybe they got a tax issue or a child, custody issue, but I mean, it's very rare, right?
Yes,
you're right. Mostly traffic.
I would say at least 4 out of 10, if not half, are absolutely traffic cases. Yes, maybe it's probably 6 or 7 out of 10. You're absolutely right about that.
Okay. So starting from the beginning. So if I was going to explain this from an observational point, this process of challenging jurisdiction, you get a traffic violation, whatever it is, parking to speeding, and then somehow you hear about Mark Stevens and you can challenge this jurisdiction, possibly get a ticket dismissed, kicked out, right? However it is. Mine was, of course, YouTube. So anyways, you go on your website, go to the store, and you got the motion to dismiss, Brady request, discovery, right? You get those. Now, here's where I see the split off, between you could, and this is why I'm going to say, this is not criticism here, because this is observation, what I'm going to say.
Okay.
You mentioned there's a distinction, and I will say, I'm going to admit, if I had to do this, looking back 2 years ago, I would send in those motions to dismiss. Okay, because that's where I see on your website, because when we're role playing, okay, and you see, you hear, I mean, even if you're on a different chat, you're going to hear, hey, because it's a big deal. Okay, when somebody in role play goes to the den, and it's just like, it kind of reminds me, Tom Mix, he was on your show, I don't know, last week, I believe, and he was talking about damage control. And, that kind of ties in with, I guess, keeping track and how he approaches, but there's different approaches that have been introduced to role play too. I don't know if they totally go with your way you would do it, I guess I'll say. But anyways, I'm getting off track. So anyways, agree or disagree with me on this point of my observation where, okay, now you've purchased the motions to dismiss, Brady request, discovery. Now you send them in. Now, you've got a 50-50 chance, is what I'm seeing, that you could have success in challenging jurisdictions with your motions to dismiss that you send in via mail. Am I correct? Or they're going to deny them, and you're not going to hear anything, or you're going to get a notice for arraignment, correct? Those are your two forks in the road right there, right?
Sounds about right.
Say again?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Yes. Sounds about right.
Okay. All right. So that's what I'm saying. I would, like I said, as your favorite critic, I do agree. I would get your motions to dismiss because I have seen evidence of success with turning them in via mail. Okay. So the other side of this coin is that your motions did get denied. And you're listening to Mark Stevens. He's talking about role play. And you go, okay. So then you go into role play. And of course, from there, I don't know what your odds are of getting, and there again, I would like to see how many people get thrown in the cooler. What state? Is there a, demographics that is associated? So, but I just want to let people who kind of, because I do see it, and I was too, okay, it took me a while. And a lot of people I know, it's a revolving door in role play. And you admitted this. I took a note of this when you were speaking of this earlier in the show. You had said you will not even, there have been times when you couldn't even go into role play.
Yeah, I've mentioned it on the show many times. That's why I shut down and stopped participating and started a whole new Skype chat room.
Okay. So I just want people to be aware that, okay, and to say, that's why I wanted you to see, like, well, after somebody goes into role play, they go into den. Hey, and two, some people just drop out. Okay, that's okay too. Some people they go, hey, I want to cut my losses, and that's another thing I want to let people be aware of. That if you're going to go in and challenge jurisdiction and go through, realize that on a traffic violation, after you start role playing. From my perspective, it's all about principle stand. And that's what I wanted to talk about Tom Mix too. That's what he's trying to say is that, hey, man, throttle back a little bit because you got some guys, and I'm not going to say, but their approach is maybe a little more aggressive than even your approach, which I see as adversarial, going in and going, hey, how do your laws apply to me? As an outsider, I see that's kind of edgy too. So
Well, let me jump in here because you're covering a lot of ground, and I want to be able to address why I didn't. It's a logistics thing. I barely get by. I am not one of these rich, self-proclaimed anarchists. I have been living on the edge almost the entire time I'm doing this because I did this to help people. You know, someone saying, "Why do you look so sad?" Well, poverty is just grinding on somebody. And that's why I mentioned earlier, can I dedicate 2 hours to edit something to put up when I get 3 shares and a few hundred views? I can't dedicate that. That's a disgraceful use of my time. So here I'm already living almost to a point where I'm going to lose my, my home that I make so little money and have for so long. And then something that may have merit to, and I see why it would be important, I just can't dedicate the time to it. And it's not, I don't want to come over like, oh, he's just being a douchebag because he doesn't want to do it. I just see as overall, it doesn't matter. You know what? It's okay. Because you put it out there. You said, look, there is a if you go back and listen to the show, you said, the successes on the website, yeah, they can vary between success on role play. Yes.
Drastically.
Yeah.
And, and I know a lot of people have issues with this jurisdiction and understanding that it's kind of a mysterious word and they grasp it and then it kind of, they think they get it and then it kind of disappears, and that you can get way deep down the rabbit hole, of course you've been there, but no, like I said, I would not, as a critic, I would say, you have a chance with your motions to dismiss, sending them in via mail. But once they get denied, if they're denied or they don't reply to them and you and you go into role play, I mean, beware.
Yeah, but Shelby, the majority of tickets that are thrown out are not because the judge grants the motion. That's a very small minority. Especially in the last 2 years, most of the tickets that were thrown out that I've posted online were because the prosecutor, even after the motion was denied, we had followed up with a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. And the prosecutor has withdrawn. So there are more prosecutors withdrawing their charges than there are by far judges granting the motion. So,
okay, well, is another dismissal, would that be like if you go all the way through with this and your intentions are to cross-examine the claimant, that the guy could not show up, and that could be in your favor, right?
Yeah. And that happens too. And I just have to point out for other critics, I do allow that with at least some of these dismissals that it had nothing to do with our defense, that is plausible. I don't think it's probable, but I think it's plausible.
And that's okay.
I don't shut the door on other explanations. It's just the thing the thing about this is, though, Shelby, is if you set out to have a honest, rational, consistent message, you will be living almost at the poverty level. If you get on YouTube and you do stupid things, or you pander and you jump on the Trump train, I swear you cannot stop people from shoveling money into your account. You could be a self-proclaimed anarchist, right? You could just pander saying the most stupid, contradictory philosophical garbage and talk about white nationalism, and you will never have to worry about money a day in your life. But man, setting out to be
and debunk and do that one,
and have websites dedicated,
flat Earth.
Have websites dedicated to debunking you, what a horrible person you are. But I've had a consistent, honest, approachable message that has been replicated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And that's, you know, it's
Mark, I thought both of your books. You know, I've got your motions to dismiss. I looked them over, and you know, I told you, I complimented you on them. You know.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's you know, it's like I had to actually stop producing Adventures in Legal Land because I couldn't afford to sell them anymore. You know, and I don't want to be the guy that goes up there. I refuse to do, hey, smash that subscribe button, hit the like. People, if they like a video, they'll do that. I don't want to be there. You know, look, I say, like, people want to help support the show. Great. It doesn't work out that well for me. And that you have to be an adult and look at the facts. And the facts are very clear. And I can accept that. This is not a marketable type show. This is not marketable material, which is exactly why there's 15,000 subs and I barely get 1,000 views on each show, because it's not very marketable and people are very transient. They have a traffic ticket or a tax thing or something like that. And, you know, they may get it resolved and then they move on and never listen to the show again. But it's actually,
and that's another caveat is, you know, you get into this and you want to make a principled stand on a traffic violation and ask who's what, you know, evidence that the laws apply. People don't realize when they get into it, but I know you say it, okay? And you're going to have to get copies of transcripts. Sometimes they're not cheap, depending on how long they are. You know,
Sure.
You want to kind of keep it short, right? And then 2, appeals. And you've got to you only have so much time to file these things. So we do appeal. Once you're looking at traffic violation, you got to, if your motion to dismiss is not, does not dismiss the traffic violation and you're going in, it's tough. You know, it's tough to challenge the jurisdictions, what I'm saying.
Well, it's not tough. I think what doing the actual challenge is just asking, you know, a very simple question.
It's expensive. I'm sorry. It's expensive because you got appeals, you've got transcripts, and like I said, transcripts aren't cheap.
No.
And then you know, on a $200 ticket. So yeah, people are going to do damage control or cost analysis, and you know, how far because like mine, okay. I ended up just tapping out. I did take it a little further, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to run up, you know, 50 miles every time, which some people go further, but I had to put a, you know, like I said, you said it, damage control. I had to go, okay, this is enough. I think I've made my point or whatever. I, you know, think the best I could, and you know, it's not always about. Like I said, I think you could probably, if you took this thing all the way up to appeals and Supreme Court on a traffic ticket and asked, well, where's the evidence of an injured party? They don't have one. So I imagine you probably could but how much time and how much money do you think you'd have in a $200 speeding? So,
yeah. And I know that was just an example, and I got to let you go because we're getting lined up with calls. And we're almost out of time. Yeah, if you would get it to the Supreme Court, I wouldn't ask the question wouldn't be where's the injured party. It would be there is no evidence even by the even from the testimony of the witness to support any finding that there was a legal injury. That allegation that there was a legal injury, there's no actual evidence to support it, and we'll have the judge's own ruling that the witness wasn't competent to testify to such issue anyway. I do appreciate the call, and I'm not cutting you off, but I only have about 20 minutes left, and I got a full line of calls.
Gotcha. All right.
I hope I addressed at least some of the questions.
Yeah, good.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean that, but I do appreciate the call, Shelby in Ohio, which is going to be, I'm sure at this point in time, probably 60, 70, maybe even 80 degrees colder than it is here in Phoenix right now. So we'll go to area code 509. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Mark. My name is Mike. I'm from Washington State.
Mike from Washington.
And you and I have been Yeah, you and I have been corresponding this week via email on Monday.
Okay, what can I do? What can I do for you?
Oh, I was just calling in. You said I should call in. I am the guy who got the ticket in Nevada. So I'm fighting a ticket in Southern Nevada down in Lincoln County. And I just wanted to call in, touch base with you. I had ordered the set of motions, and I filed the motion for discovery earlier this week. I'm still waiting to hear back from the prosecutor. I don't expect to hear back from him probably for the rest of this week, but we'll see what happens. And I've got the motion in, how do you say it, limine?
Limine.
Anyways, I've got limine. I've got that one all filled out and ready to go the moment I get a response. And I was calling in. I had a couple of questions for you regarding the motions, and I was wondering if you had time to answer those. I know you're kind of short on time.
Oh, that's what we're here for. We got time left for at least one more call. So what do you got?
Okay. Well, one of the questions that I had was filling out the motion for dismissal. There is a district attorney in the case, but the motion is made out to the trooper or the police officer. And I'm wondering do I need to involve him, the police officer, now that I'm dealing with the district attorney?
Like I mentioned in the instructions that go out with the motion to dismiss, if you know that there is a prosecutor, you have zero contact with or communication with the witness, the police officer here. So everything will go to the prosecutor.
Yeah, that's what that's what I thought it was. I just wanted to verify that with you. And then one of the other questions that I had was on the motion for discovery. There's a question, and it says, any and all evidence known to the complaining agent proving alleged defendant was present within the plaintiff's state, in my case of Nevada, County of Lincoln. What does that do? What is the importance of that?
Well, whether you're present within the state is a political question. It's not your physical location.
Okay.
And it's probably not even a necessary question
gotcha.
anymore to have in there. But it comes from when we used to attack that. But the important thing about the discovery request, it's not a motion to the court, but it's a request to the prosecution. The two most important things there are the facts to support their claim that the laws do apply because you're physically in Nevada, and the witness with personal knowledge of that. So the witness who's testifying that the laws apply and you violated them, they have to have personal knowledge of that. And most people only, especially lawyers and bureaucrats, they only look at personal knowledge that you violated the law, and they want to completely ignore the first part of that.
Yeah.
As if you can prove the laws were violated without first proving that they apply.
Well, I imagine that's what the prosecutor is going to do. The only witness that they're probably likely to call is the trooper, the officer at the scene. So yeah, that's probably where, if this goes to trial, that's probably where I'm going to have some fun, I guess, with the trooper on the stand, and I'm going to have to drive home some of these points that you keep talking about.
Well,
and I'm not afraid to do that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and the role playing helps. Although most people don't engage in that. We'll do it tomorrow, same time as this broadcast, 4 to 5 Mountain Standard Time. Contact me at Skype at FrankRizzo3. Sadly, no more than 2 people have in a week have ever contacted me for that, so it's kind of anemic that way.
I just found out about it today, but I'm going to try and join you tomorrow.
Okay, well, great. I will be participating, but contact me on Skype at FrankRizzo3. It's very easy. The questions, once he's on the stand and you've made your objections because he lacks personal knowledge, the judge says, Abafongol, he doesn't give a damn. He puts the cop on the stand anyway. You can ask him 2 simple questions. Did you determine on your own that just because I was physically in Nevada that the laws applied and that gave you jurisdiction and probable cause to stop me and then right to? He'll say yes. He'll say, you're damn right, you little punk. He's got no problem whatsoever. He'll want to say punk. Your follow-up question is, what facts led you to believe that? What facts actually, prove that make that true? Makes that true? And then the prosecutor, right on cue, objection, calls for legal conclusion. The witness can't testify.
Right, right.
And, you know, this is a really important issue because, one, we take into context, there's some context I want to put out there for you and other people who are not familiar with this. Because the context, you have to have more context so you understand what the significance of this is. They do it 99% of the time across all political lines. They've done it in Australia, the exact same objection, even though you're asking for facts. And the judges, regardless of what you may say, I did not ask for a legal conclusion. He already made that. This question goes to the facts to support that conclusion or that allegation. And they ignore you. Now, if the question was legitimate and went to the facts, and it's clear to anybody with half a brain in their head that you did not ask a question requiring a legal conclusion, why do they universally refuse to allow you to, or refuse to allow cross-examination on that?
Yeah, there has to be something there.
It crosses all political lines. Now, not everyone has that. I have the privilege of being able to have worked one-on-one directly with people in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and in England. And I have spoken to prosecutors in all those areas. And I've had it reported that the judges are seeing, the prosecutors are making the exact same objection, and the judges sustain it, even though it clearly is not asking for a legal conclusion. There has to be some reason why it crosses all political boundaries. It's not because I'm not asking a relevant question, because it goes directly to his prior statement. He just testified to that, and he testified that the laws applied on direct, and it's in his police report, and it's on the ticket. It goes to prior statements. Yeah. So it is relevant. And for judges to universally, except for in one instance that we have reported here, one, that was Jermaine up in Canada, one, they have always refused with the same objection. It's because they don't have the proof and they're protecting the witness and the prosecution's case. And if somebody has based on the facts and the context, if they have a more plausible explanation for why that is so consistent across all political lines, I've yet to hear it.
Yeah, agreed.
So get the basics. So, and that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. The burden of proof is on them, not you.
That's so important. Like you said, just keep hacking away at the roots and stick to the basics. Don't worry about a lot of the other stuff that they're going to throw at you, a lot of the stuff that's going to come up. You just have to stay on point. And if you keep driving that point home, they're going to have a harder and harder time just railroading people through this system.
We need more people to actually, and this is what we've been talking about a lot more lately. We used to do it all the time, that if more people were challenging these assertions, whether it's in court or it's at city council meetings or it's on the phone, but the more people that are doing it publicly in court or the city council meetings, the harder it's going to be for them to maintain their presumption of correctness and their presumption of fairness. But not enough people are hammering away. Unfortunately, most people are on the side that, well, Mark's he's admittedly not a lawyer. So I know there's I know he confronted the Supreme Court Chief Justice. I know, but I think maybe the Supreme Court Justice just felt sorry for the retard in the law school. And that's how they brush it off. That's an actual criticism, by the way. Someone actually defended that Supreme Court judge saying what he did because he was just trying, he felt sorry for the retard in the room. Okay. I've had worse. But see, I can actually prove their laws don't apply. They can't. I don't know if you're familiar with this. I went through every single professor at the ASU Law School. Not a single one would come on the show. Not a single one was able to make an ethical argument in favor of the organization they work for. Even the ethics professor wrote me in an email that he could not make such an argument. So
that's a pretty compelling fact right there. Yeah.
That's pretty. Now, yeah. So if any, and I've confronted people directly on this show, make an ethical argument for government, go ahead, do it. No one can do it because it's a criminal organization, because they force men and women, they force strangers to give us money. So I appreciate the calls. Can I address one more question before I let you go?
Well, the only other thing I wanted to bring up is not a question, but if you ever want to collaborate on audio and video editing, get a hold of me, because I'm pretty handy with that kind of stuff, and I would be more than happy to work with you if you need something done. Well,
you certainly have a great voice for radio. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Has anyone ever mentioned so too. Has anyone mentioned that to you before?
That's my wife repeatedly mentions that's the main reason that she married me.
Okay.
So yes, I would say yes.
Oh, well, cool. Yeah, it's like Daryl Perry, who is taking a break now from doing the top of the hour news on LRN.FM.
Yeah, I might have missed my calling in life. I should have gone into radio. Who knew? Who knew?
I tell you this: if you have a straightforward, consistent message, and it's rational and logical, and you have a mountain of evidence to show how effective your position is, there's no, definitely not something you want to do if you're looking, to be successful, because at least I'm an abject failure at that. But hey, we've got a lot of success, and the whole point it was to help people, and that's what we're doing. So, all right. Well, I appreciate the call, and I hope to help you some more tomorrow on Discord.
As soon as I know something, I will call back into the show and let you know how it's going.
Okay, well, we're doing the role playing tomorrow, so if you're interested in that same time, 4 to 5 Mountain Standard Time tomorrow, just contact me at Skype at FrankRizzo3, and we'll do it.
Will do, Mark. Thank you.
All right, appreciate the call. Mike in Washington. Someone say, Mark, I think people want to know how to deal with a traffic stop, have a license, don't have a license, how to deal with criminals in blue. I mean, we talk about this, quite often. I'm going to just take a moment here. So 618 area code, I'll get to you in just a minute. On a traffic stop, you keep your mouth shut. You give the identification, which is always on a threat, duress, and coercion. Keep your mouth shut. Do not, I repeat, do not answer the police officer's questions. End of discussion. There is no but. There is no, extenuating circumstances. If you are stopped on a traffic stop, or a cop walks up to you in the street and starts talking to you, beyond identifying yourself, only if you are in an automobile, you don't need to do that on the side of the street. You keep your mouth shut. You do not speak to the police. Now, there's no evidence that we're required to have a license. That is not a right to travel argument. That's an issue of fact, that there's no evidence that their laws apply to anybody. Okay? So that's my position on that, and not a single person that has ever called a show that I have ever spoken to in a court or out of court, not a single one has been able to prove these laws apply, because they don't. Putting other people in prison is not supporting the argument. So whether someone has a license or not is purely, it's up to you. I would say if you're doing it as an activist or a matter of principle, at least have current vehicle license plate and tags, because you're inviting death. So I would say, as far as an activist, you've got much better ways of raising issues and even going to court than getting a traffic ticket. To me, not worth it if the police are armed. It's just how to deal with the criminals in blue. This is something we talk about that all the time. Drake, you certainly don't want to go into the police department to ask them questions. You don't do that. It's one thing to call them on the phone, and but never take a camera into a police department and ask them for proof of their claim that the laws apply because you're physically in Arizona or wherever you happen to. That will not end well. I was very lucky to be able to walk away from that. We're going to go to the last caller. I apologize for not having much time left. We have area code 618. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name's Lonnie from Illinois.
Wow, Illinois! My gosh, how cold is it there right now?
I think it's like 6 degrees.
6 degrees, so it's a lot warmer than. Wow. Okay. Well, what can I do for you today?
Well, I wanted to say I appreciate what you do, and I miss your call of shames, man. Pretty good.
Well, you know,
I went to court.
I might still do the call of shames, but I'm certainly, I can't spend a lot of time doing it. I know people, some, you know, like me, I'm one of them, rabid about it, love them. But here's the thing. Nobody views mine. So like Brian, and I used to call him Rick, he has his own YouTube. He would take the call of shames and he would get 10 times the views. So other people who have posted my material, man, it does great. There's something about my channel, it's just dead. I mean, I'll still do them. And maybe I'll do, you know, when I have the time, or maybe what I'll do is I'll just provide them for other people to put on their channel, and then things can take off. Because anything that goes on my channel dies. But anyway, we've got very little time. Well, let's get to what you called for.
Yeah, okay. Well, I went to court the other day, and before you even got past the metal detector, you had to lock your phone up in a locker. And like everything up in a locker. And then I ended up going in the courtroom, and I ended up asking one of the police officers if it was even being recorded. They ended up saying no. And I didn't really know what to do. And then, so I let them do whatever. And then I had someone with me, and then the prosecution called up the person I had with me first. And I was like, well, what are you doing? And I was like, why are you going to let them talk to my opponent? And then I ended up talking to the judge about it. And then she pretty much told me I could sit down or I could leave the courtroom. And I kept asking her, well, are you going to let him talk to him? And like, what is going on here? And she pretty much just kicked me out.
Wow, that sucks. Well, let me address the first part about locking up the phone. If you want to record, which I think, I think fairness dictates that that they're public proceedings. And I think anyone should, unless you're in a sensitive issue like a rape case, I think anybody in a public proceeding should be able to record it. But of course, they want you to get their transcripts. As you know, Shelby said, they're extremely expensive. And sometimes, like in New Hampshire, they don't even recognize it if you don't go through one of their vendors, and you know their vendors are going to charge more than someone who is not on the approved list. So you have to file them. You know, unfortunately, the rules do allow for the recording of court proceedings, but they leave that up to the discretion of the lawyer with the robe on. So you have to file a motion, say, look, I want to be able to keep a record of this. I want to record. So then if you're able to get that, you can bring that record with you and say, no, I'm allowed to bring my phone or this other piece of recording equipment, because otherwise they don't want to have it. But at this other meeting in court, was that an arraignment or a trial that they pulled this?
Well, they called it a jury docket. And then I guess that means that there was a plea entered. And then I forgot what they said about it. But then I even asked the cop if there was a plea entered. And I mean, he never gave me an answer. And because I mean, I never entered a plea. So I mean, whatever a jury docket is.
Well, a jury docket, you think, would be something where after they have taken a plea, you've gone through the pretrial, and you're getting ready for trial. What kind of charges?
Yeah, no. I'm pretty sure it was a no license and no insurance.
Oh, no, you heinous individual. How dare you not comply with the God state? Well, I'm totally out of time.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I would say. Give me a call back on the Saturday show. We got 3 hours, a lot more time to get into this. You know, we only have, an hour commercial free is pretty nice, but the Saturday show, we can even blow through the commercials and get a bit more time. Actually, I'm not going to be live this Saturday. So call you can contact me off air with questions. We can talk tomorrow during the role play. Contact me at Frank Rizzo 3. And so we can go over, maybe we can spend a few minutes doing that. And then next Wednesday, call back. But have you filed a motion to dismiss?
Last time I was in court, when I did that, the judge moved me to a completely empty courtroom. So I was I didn't really want to tip my hand, so I was gonna try to experiment. Like if I just go in there with my script and they have no idea what's coming at them, you know?
Yeah,
or, I mean, would
you don't.
think I should just file it?
We don't need file the motion to dismiss and discovery request. You don't need an element of surprise for these people. They don't have the proof. Hey, I've done it with the element of surprise. I've done it without it. It doesn't matter. They do not have the proof. And what did a critic say about me? I'm an idiot for even challenging it. That's their entire friggin' position against my work. I am an idiot.
Yeah, you see right through everything.
Yeah, I'm an idiot because I'm challenging this. That is their argument against me. Well, Mark is just a friggin' he's an idiot. He's an idiot. You don't need evidence to prove that. Okay. All right. So I would get the motion to dismiss filed as soon as possible. It's for you and anybody else. That's the way I do it. Get it in there as soon as possible. Let the prosecution know that this is not something that you're going to take lying down. You're going to fight them, and you'll take it as far as you need to, and make them work for it. All right. But contact me at Frank Rizzo 3 on Skype tomorrow. And so 4 to 5 Mountain Standard Time, the same time as this show, we'll do the role playing.
Yeah, I got your Skype, so I'll message you.
Okay, cool. Appreciate the call. Ronnie in Illinois. And that's going to pretty much do it on another broadcast here. Look, I'm sorry to be a downer, but it's just the reality of the situation. And I didn't do the show. I've never done the show to be able to proclaim that I have the most downloaded podcast. Or the biggest podcast. I didn't do that. It was the show has always been an extension of the work that I do during the week to be able to help people, and that's what we do. It's just life gets in the way, expenses go up, and living on the edge it sucks. It really, really sucks. So I do have to point out, because the financial situation is so bad at this particular point, that if you want the older shows that are on markstevens.net, I urge you in the next few weeks to download them. Okay? Download, especially the older shows. I will do what I can to take those shows, put them into a YouTube video, let's say 10, 12 hours, and upload a bunch of those. But that is something, just because I don't know how certain the future is. If you want to preserve those, you need to do that. I will preserve as much as I can. That's why my latest article, I'm going to be doing a lot more on Facebook where it's permanent, where I'm going to put the article right on Facebook. It was nice when I had the wiki page, but all the wiki pages were torn down. I was able to get that free a number of years ago when it went to pay, because it was educational. But that was taken down. So all that's gone. So I'll do what I can to preserve as much of the shows as I can. I'm even going to go through I'll do some videos, screen videos with the articles and the documents, the supporting documents of the court wins. So they'll still be preserved, and the evidence will be there on YouTube, where unless there's a catastrophe and my YouTube is pulled down, so we still have that saved. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. Very few people tuned in today. I got no likes. That's not what it's about. I got to keep telling you that's not what it's about. But again, I won't be live on Saturday, but I will be live again Wednesday. I will not be pulling down this video. It's just going to stand. It'll always be the permanent record, and I'll get that up at the website. And I appreciate everyone tuning in. And hey, till the next live broadcast,